Hey, everybody. Welcome to this free offering inside the Embodied Microdosing Ministry. This is an opportunity to support you in preparing for a larger dose journey. We will be focused on cannabis since we have a cannabis journey scheduled with Amy towards in June. Actually, the date of that has shifted slightly. Friday, June 13th at 7 p.m., same day of the week, same time. We pushed it out 2 more weeks to give more folks time to join. And I will also be offering perspective on working with larger doses of mushrooms or combining mushrooms with the cannabis journey. The two are good friends, and Amy and I will shine some light on the opportunities you'll have to heal in ministry. Thanks for being here, and welcome to my good friend, Amy Sawyer. 15 years ago, would you say it was, Amy?
It's been a while, yeah.
It's been a minute. 15 years ago, Amy and I taught classes together on making smoothies and helping people heal their bodies with nutrition. And here we are 15 years later teaching classes on how to help people heal their bodies and their minds and their spirits with sacred medicine. Yes, exactly, Bryn. That evolution, right? Can you look back 15 years and see how everything that you did, all of you here, contributed to who you are now and what you do now? Like, that wasn't a mistake, right? Working in nutrition, that was groundwork for offering nourishment. And so thank you, Amy, for being here and being a good colleague and friend all these years. Would you take a minute and just introduce yourself to the community?
Yeah, I'd love to. Honor to be here and just to hold space here with all of you today. As Rai said, like we met a long time ago, back when we were both really into nutrition. And then, Rai has had her own healing journey, as you all are well aware of. And then I've been really supported by her as well. So started microdosing with her back in 2020, I think around when COVID happened, found a lot of benefits in it. Took my first big, deep healing journey with Rai about 3 years ago, which was super transformative in my life and helped guide me onto this path of sacred medicine work. In the last year, in addition to kind of working with mushrooms, just really honor the power in sacred mushrooms and the healing that they've offered to me. I've also become really interested in cannabis. It was introduced to me by a fellow practitioner here in Asheville, this book, Psychedelic Cannabis. And I was just like, what? The way I'd seen cannabis was always like just a party, like stoner, zone out kind of drug. And I just became really interested. I read the book. I signed up for the training with Daniel McQueen, who wrote the book, and completed that training in January. So it was supposed to be done kind of at the end of December, but we had Hurricane Helene and just everything got thrown off a little bit. But so I am a yoga therapist, and I am a mindfulness-based psychedelic guide with specialties in cannabis and psilocybin. Just as Rai said, like our journey, like I think everything prepares us for where we are going. So I spent a lot of money and training in yoga and yoga therapy. And I thought, wow, did I just waste that? But all of those tools have been instrumental in helping me to be a good guide, trauma-informed tools and tools to help like get tuned into the body. And so I am just super excited to share the benefits of cannabis as a sacrament because just like anything, when we use it with intention and with reverence, it can be super healing. And that has not been my experience before I did this training. I think somebody had mentioned in the chat in the ministry group that they had some awful experiences and super paranoid, and I've had that too. And I'm like, oh, that is not for me. And I've encountered so many people who say that is not for me. Set and setting are important. Intention is important, and so when we shift that, we can shift our relationship with cannabis. And I feel like it's part of my work in the world to help shift the perspective of this beautiful healing medicine.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. Welcome with all of your passion, clear passion for this plant. I think what's cool about journeying with cannabis. Now, Amy came, I've been working with cannabis, right, for 30 years. Right? Amy, you have a lot of experience using cannabis, yeah, recreationally, and yes, some good experiences, some bad. 2 years ago, my husband decided cannabis was a problem for him and he became clean from it. And I removed all flower and smoking implements from our home for 2 years in support of him. That made me realize on the first 2 weeks after removing it all how dependent I had become on cannabis. Yeah, I cried nonstop. I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares. I was sweating. And I'm like angry at Google, like, how dare you say this isn't addicting? I was absolutely. Why one bong hit a day out in the garden, right? No big deal. I'm not an addict. Absolutely had a negative withdrawal experience from the medicine. And from that moment on, in the last 2 years, I've had incredible reverence for this plant. I have worked with it in tincture form and edible form once or twice a week. I have set some parameters around this is not something I take and then engage with other humans. I don't take this and then go hang out with my mom. I don't take this and go to the grocery store for me. Like that's when it was like, this is not good, right? Like some crazy shit is spiraling and I'm off balance and I'm out of integrity and I'm making shit up and I'm exaggerating shit, right? Took me out. And in the last 2 years and in the last couple months, inviting Amy to come here from Asheville, lay on the ground. And I said to her, girl, take me through your conscious, intentional experience of cannabis. Mind blown. Full blown psychedelic experience, full blown embodied healing experience, full somatic healing experience. I mean, I'm laying on the ground over here, wiggling and crying and releasing all of this ancestral trauma, working with a plant that I'm very familiar with. So, set and setting, which we'll get into next, do matter. And I just want to invite you wherever you're at in your cannabis journey. You've never used it, you took a gummy once and freaked out, you've been a recreational smoker for years. In fact, go ahead and pop in the chat. What is your relationship with cannabis? If it's relevant, you don't have to share here. So we just kind of know who's in the space live. And let's take a moment to acknowledge that this plant, this ally, is powerful. Right? This is a loud plant. It speaks quickly and it speaks loudly through us. Maybe we can start there, Amy. Talk to us about cannabis as a plant, who and how she is, the feminine of her, as you've learned.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it is a representative of the divine feminine, and she is very gentle but powerful. And so this is why we want to have reverence with her. I'm sure you all know cannabis has been around for thousands of years. It was the first industrialized, product that was used for so many good things. I think our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, was written on hemp paper. So it's been around a long time. Was kind of demonized with the war on drugs. But some of the characteristics of cannabis are that she is a shapeshifter and she is a very somatic medicine. So very much a body experience. When I have a cannabis journey, and even with some psilocybin journeys, like I shake, and that is trauma releasing from the body. And cannabis really brings that up. And so that's something that you can expect is just like, tremors or shakes or releases somatically. It is a very somatic body oriented medicine. She's a shapeshifter, and that if you have done other medicine journeys, if you've worked with like whether it's psilocybin or ayahuasca or any of these other medicines, she can amplify that. She is an amplifier and a shapeshifter, and so that's why she can be so powerful, right? One of the beautiful things about cannabis is that there is a lot more autonomy in working with cannabis than there is with other medicines. So if you've done a big journey with other plant medicines, like when you're in it, you're in it, and you just got to ride that train, right? You can't just be like, oh, I don't want to be here. Cannabis is different in that you have autonomy and you can like come out from under your eye mask and sit up, and then you're just high. You're not in the really psychedelic experience anymore. You can ground, you can take breaths and just like, okay, I'm okay. And then you go back in and you can go right back in. So there's the real beauty in that there's a gentleness to it that provides a little bit more safety when we're kind of, anxious about going deep with these types of medicines.
Beautiful. Yeah, really beautiful. So to bring in the sacrament, to bring in the tincture here, I'm going to encourage, if you come to Amy's journey on June 13th, that those of you who have experience with cannabis, especially, you take your regular microdose and then you amplify, that word that Amy used, you enhance, you allow the cannabis to shine the light on how this is actually working through you. Most of my embodied microdosed journeys also include a microdose or a little bit more of cannabis because of that enhancing that Amy is talking about. So that I'm working with the mushroom and I'm using the cannabis to kind of enhance what's happening with the mushroom. How does that make sense to you, Amy? Does that land?
Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely be you because it is so gentle and it is so safe. Like a lot of other medicines, we have to really be careful about, what medications we might be taking. Cannabis is not like that. Like it is a super safe medicine. So it is really safe to combine with other psychedelic medicines and amplify their properties.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So a couple of observations here from the group. Some are, Annette, very familiar in a recreational way. Yes, I'm proud of you for being here to lean into more spiritual and ritual use of the medicine. Bufos, Bryn says daily intentions with meditation around her cannabis use. Yes, I see you. It's like, what a powerful prayer medicine, right? Like, let me sit down, take even a small amount, a little hit, a little puff, and here is my prayer. Whoa, here is my prayer. Whoa, here is my meditation, right? Like everything amplified, like Amy said. And I think that's the anxiety part for many, the amplification of, and maybe we'll talk about that. And then Rhonda, thank you for your honesty. I don't like how I feel when I take it. It brings me down. Brings me down. Maybe we can, yeah, maybe we can focus on that for a second as to why. Is it amplifying what's already down energetically for Rhonda, perhaps?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, everyone is different, so there's not a one size fits all answer. But in general, cannabis can bring up the things that are uncomfortable so that we can move through them and heal them. So I know, like, I've always been one, in the past who had a lot of anxiety, especially social anxiety when I was using cannabis unintentionally. But when you do, just like Bryn, I love that. Like, even when I do want to just be like, I just want to like relax and just like be present with my partner. Like I still offer gratitude and just have reverence for the medicine, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, that intention setting before use is so key. Amber shared, I used it recreationally in my teens and 20s as an escape, used intentionally a handful of times over the last few years, and with strong intention. Whoa, one hit was enough to go into that space. Such a different, profound experience using with intention versus escaping.
Yeah, totally. That's beautiful.
Great awareness, Amber. So let's talk about set and setting when it comes to working with cannabis. I mentioned how I had to set parameters even around my recreational use. Like, this is not for use when, right? My whole 40 people are coming for Thanksgiving. Like, this will be a fun Thanksgiving. Let me just pop a gummy and like, like too much. Set and setting, and then we'll get into dosage, y'all, because I really think these negative cannabis experiences are taking way too much. I think there really is this minimum effective dose that we can get into, that maybe a little more than a microdose, right? But much less than that too much dose. So let's talk about that, Amy. Set and setting first. Why are they important with cannabis? And I can reflect on mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's probably that much different, like we need to go in with an intention, with a good mindset, with trusting the medicine, with developing a relationship with it, and trusting that she's there to guide us and teach us. So like our mindset is super important. If we go into a journey thinking, I'm not so sure this is going to bring up bad stuff, then that's probably what you're going to get, like our mindset that our mind guides us in these journeys. Setting, absolutely. Like you want to be in a place where you feel safe, where you're not distracted, where you can really just go inward and not be having all these other responsibilities looming over your head. So just like you would go into any other big journey, you need to really create that safe, sacred space around it to have, the best experience possible.
Amazing. So setting even looks like, for me, not only am I in a safe space, a room, a closed door, but I've let my partner know, and I've let the people that I live with know, or I've shut off notifications on the phone. I've taken those measures to really protect that external space from UPS truck pulling up, dog starts barking, my whole nervous system goes like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do, right? I have to get up, I have to come out from this. As many measures as you can take. Now, that said, sometimes people are so nervous about the setting being perfect, right, that they never end up journeying either. Well, I can't rent an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, and all of that. Like, you have to do what you can when you can, and do your best to contain that container for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's never going to be perfect timing of life, of day, of, like, there's always going to be things. And you can make all the best preparations and still something unexpected is going to happen, so just do the best that you can and be intentional about it.
Great. And for more experienced journeyers, I have to say I get called back into integrity with this. I'll get a little lazy. Like, I'm good, I feel safe, I'm fine. Let me just do a quick journey. And then I'm like, oh God, something like real weird is happening over here. I did not take that time in that space to really set that, even that energetic, right? Like, are you saging this space? Are you using your words? Are you saying a prayer? I'm setting the intention in the space with my words and my energy. All of that we will do with you at the cannabis journey. Amy's, I mean, her lead in, the whole imbibing ceremony, and we'll get into that, I hope, but you can just tell them how we even prepare and how we smoke with such intention or take an edible with such intention that, I mean, that was like half the journey, was just setting it all up and taking the medicine before going into the journey. And it was a journey in and of itself. Just calling on my support was a journey and an experience. So set and setting, hugely important. Dosage. Let's talk about how much to take, and then we will get into sourcing.
Yeah. So, it's always good to start small and go slow. So if you're not a regular cannabis user and you don't really know how it's going to impact you and you're interested in doing this journey, we'll talk about dosing and sourcing and stuff like that. And I would encourage you, if you think you want to do this journey, to go ahead and secure some product and start to experiment a little bit, just really small. So you kind of get a feel for like, oh, I took 2 puffs and I am good, and you can always smoke more or add more. You can't take it away, so starting slow and small is the best way to go. With psychedelic cannabis, I just want to kind of speak to like the different strains. The ideal way is pure flower and smoking or vaping. I love vaping because it's just it's a little cleaner, it's a little easier on the lungs, better for our body. Yeah, beautiful. The PAX vaporizer is my go-to. I love it. And it doesn't use water. It's just got a little oven in there, so it's a really nice, clean way. Edibles, most people, if you're gonna have a bad experience, it usually happens with edibles, because I think, Rye, you had mentioned in one of the comments, like, there's not a lot of regulation around edibles, and we don't often know what's going in them, and are there artificial ingredients and things that just don't go well with our body. I've had an experience before where, it's like you have a edible that's 10 milligrams. I'm just going to cut that in half. Well, I felt nothing, because probably the most of the power was in the other half. We just don't really know. And so then when I took the other half, like a few days later, I was like knocked on my ass. So really important to know how a gummy or an edible is going to impact you before you start. The other thing with edibles is that they take longer. The beauty of flower and smoking is that it's within a couple of minutes you feel it. And so that's ideal, especially for a group journey where we're kind of all on the same page, we're all going in at the same time, and it's pretty predictable. It's usually going to it's usually going to last about a good hour and a half, until you start to feel like you're coming out. So that being said, flower is ideal. If you have an issue with smoking or vaping, we can use edibles. We just need to prepare in advance for that.
Yeah,
Um,
this is, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to mention I was going to talk about the blend, but I can hold off on that.
No, do it. I think that's beautiful.
Okay, so the difference too with this, with a conscious cannabis experience, is that the blend is very specific. So if you're familiar with cannabis, generally there's an indica, there's a sativa, and then there's hybrids, and they can vary a lot. Sativa is the one that makes us anxious. So if you get anxious, you want to go a little lower on the sativa end and more on the indica, which is more relaxing. But we want both. So for it to be a psychedelic experience, you need a really strong or medium range sativa if you get really anxious, and then a really strong indica. So what happens is the properties of the indica that are very sleepy and relaxing the body help to relax the mind a little bit, but the strong sativa helps to keep your mind in the game, but your body is relaxed. And then the hybrid just produces that heart opening effect. So you want at least 3 strains. I have a little jar that I just keep adding to, and so it's got multiple strains in it, and I think that's what makes it really strong, because you just kind of keep adding, and then you get a real, they call it the entourage effect of all the different terpenes and all the different strains, like all combined into one, and they just balance each other out. So that's what's really magical about putting it together in that way. So you get this more psychedelic experience that relaxes the body but keeps the mind a little active.
So the more strains that you combine together, the more different varieties, the more variations of indica and sativa, and most things are a hybrid these days, right? So even combining 2 or 3 hybrids is going to give you a more psychedelic experience, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know where everybody is located and what the legality is around. There is a nationwide loophole in the Farm Bill that allows you to buy flower, and it's legal as long as there's not heat put to it. So in Asheville, there's dispensaries on every corner. You can just go in and buy THCA flower. THCA is no different than THC. It's just sometimes a little more immature version of the plant, and there's no heat that's been added to it. So like I have so much availability, I can go around the corner and like buy all kinds of different strains. If you don't have that option where you are, we can talk about some other possibilities.
Great. So not terribly hard to get flour these days, but we will have a little chat going for those who are deciding to come to the journey, and we can advise and support and, help where we can. Um, Rhonda says, smoking and vaping burns my lungs. I used to be a smoker, but my lungs do not like it anymore. How to smoke and not burn or cough? Any suggestions there, Amy?
Yeah, so I mean, vaping, like especially the PAX vaporizer, which is not a water-based vape, is very clean. Other suggestions are to, if you're, I mean, you can always use an edible, but like I said, like smoking or vaping is kind of the preferred just because of the onset and the duration. Gummies are going to last a whole lot longer. But throat coat tea, having something that's kind of soothing, even a little honey or something before you smoke can help just really soothe your throat. I find, I've been like that too. I would, take a hit of a joint or something anywhere and I just cough, 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 cough. I don't get that with the vape. I might occasionally be like, oh, that hit me a little bit, but it's so subtle. I just can't recommend PAX enough. I mean, they're pricey, but they're well worth the investment if it's something that you think that you want to, explore.
PAX is the brand name on that one, Rhonda. I would encourage you to check it out. And honestly, I've come back to smoking in the last couple of months, and with a vaporizer. The pull is really important. Pull really slow. I see most people take a hit and they're like, and then they can't stop coughing, right? It hit too hard, too much. Like just microdose even the pull, little puff, little puff, little puff. Amy does a great ceremony where it's just as many puffs as you want, but she encourages, now it's time, let's imbibe. We call in the spirits of the West. Now we imbibe. And you decide when to stop, but you could take a little microscopic puff at each of the sort of 7, 8, 9 opportunities there are to imbibe at the start of the ceremony. And like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And we can absolutely support you in finding that dose. Y'all, cut the gummy in half and then cut it in quarters. Like, I like nibble the corner, right? And you have to be patient. Onset time is longer for those who have more digestive stuff going on. It has to be metabolized by the liver and converted in order for you to experience the THC, and it actually converts it to another compound. I don't remember what the name is, which is why when people say, "Whoa, I take a gummy, like I feel totally different." It's kind of a totally different experience than the flower.
Yeah,
So
and it metabolizes differently, right? So, when we smoke, it's going right into our lungs and our body. When you take a gummy or an edible, like it has to metabolize through the body. And so you can often feel it more in the body, whereas smoking is a little more, up here and a gummy is a little more down here.
yeah, that's a great way of putting it. One hack that I've found, because the onset time is really long for me too, an hour and a half sometimes, is to take the edible, wait just a little bit, and then eat a little bit of something with fat in it. THC is fat soluble, right? So then that kind of pushes it through. My body starts to digest the food, and with it, it speeds up the digestion of the edible or the tincture. And look for a tincture. If you have head shops in your state, go find other forms than just a gummy. There's sprays, there are mints, like there's things that dissolve. It's really quite amazing what's out there.
Yeah, and I know you can even make a tea. I haven't experimented with that myself, but that might be another option to just experiment with and explore, like get the flower and then steep it in a tea. And then that's going to absorb faster than, an edible.
Yeah, pop your questions in the chat or give me a wave, raise your digital hand. You can also come off mute if you have any questions about sourcing, dosing, or taking the medicine, but you don't take it on your own. You'll bring it to the ceremony and we will take it ceremonially together. Amber asks, I just ordered Blue Lotus for tea and vape. Do you mix other herbs with the THC to create a blend, or do you keep it by itself? Great question.
Yeah, I have done that with Blue Lotus. For this, I would recommend just like the first experience, just working with cannabis, just so you can really develop that relationship with cannabis. But you absolutely can blend, other herbs that are helpful for you, for sure.
Great. I mean, and even back to Rhonda's question, I mean, you could probably blend herbs in with the THC that might ease some of the lung stuff, mullein
Yeah,
or
like Mullen, yeah.
right. Okay. So good. Great questions, y'all. Keep popping them in or raising your hand here. Let's talk about well, Amy, what do you think would be relevant to talk about next in terms of equipping them for a journey?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I guess the number one thing I want to make sure, yeah, if there's questions about sourcing, because I think that can be a difficult one depending on where you are, and also like how much do you get and that kind of thing. So, for a journey, if you're gonna like try to get like three different blends, indica, sativa, and a hybrid, you want about like an eighth of a gram of each. So you make sure that you have enough and you're able to, and it's a really beautiful kind of ritual too, just to like as you are, getting the flower and you're grinding it and you're just sitting with it in gratitude, smelling it. If you've not ever purchased flower before, one of the most important things, if you don't know what to get, is to smell it. Go around, smell it. Because sometimes you'd be like, oh, that's stinky, or oh, that smells so good. Go with the one that smells good to you. That's your body saying, yes, that's what I want. And so there's no one size fits all. It's not like, oh, this is the great one that you need, because it's different for everybody. I also, I can't remember where I read recently. It might have been in like the Ganja Yoga book. And I love the way she talks about cannabis and a relationship with it. But that as women, and this is a divine feminine plant, like have your own, like don't share it with your partner or anyone else. Like have your own personal blend that is what your body and your spirit needs.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, your relationship with the plant. Lately, I've just been with any plants, just holding the plant to be in prayer with it. And if cannabis is in my system, that enhancement, right? I just picked up tobacco the other day. I just picked up Hape. And the last Hape experience I had was too intense, too much. I ended up getting dizzy. I took it right after food. It was just like, ugh. And I'm like, I want to come back to Hape, but of course, my immediate response is like, well, remembering that last session, all I've been doing is picking up Hape with cannabis in my system and just holding and saying thank you, Hape. And I feel the medicine of Hape coming through my system, right? You can work with the sacrament just by calling on the sacrament. I dosed yesterday, I won't dose today, but I may say, I need you, sacred mushrooms, come in. And that imprint, that consciousness, that connection with the medicine is always there once you've been in intentional communion with. Bryn, you must do this with Bufo, right? Can you call on the toad? Yeah, right. She does not have to have this huge Bufo DMT experience to say, I need you. And the medicine, the energy, the imprint, the blueprint of the medicine will come through. So just kind of like remembering that not everything has to be this like macro taking experience. It is calling on.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm curious too about, if anyone is open to sharing like negative experiences in the past and like any fears or anxiety around that, and how we might be able to help support that.
Anyone have any other before we move on? I do want to talk about mushrooms a little bit too, although you're right, there aren't many differences between laying down and having a cannabis journey, laying down and having a mushroom journey, or,
Yeah.
MDMA, or, whatever medicine you may be calling on and working with. Probably differences with DMT a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe.
And I can just speak to like the anxiousness because I mean in general that tends to come up a lot, right? People say like, oh, I don't like it, I get paranoid or I get anxious. So there is a little bit of like, well, if you're an anxious person in general, it's bringing that up. Like if I like for me, I had a lot of social anxiety. So when I would try to like smoke and then go to a concert, ugh, it was awful. Know that the medicine is not bringing you something to hurt you. It's bringing it to you to like help you to heal it. So if you feel that anxiety, it's usually going to come up within the first 15 minutes. It's going to be like a heart racing and like, oh my God, what is happening? But that is the importance of your setting and making sure that you're in a safe space, that you feel safe. And we're here to help hold that space for you. And also your breath, breathing through it. So when we're anxious, where our nervous system is stimulated. So if we can use our breath with those long, slow exhales to help bring that sense of calm and regulation to our nervous system, that's going to be super beneficial. And just reminding ourselves, I'm safe. This is temporary. Breathe through it. And then if you can just get past that initial anxiousness, and I still get it sometimes, like, it's not like, oh yeah, I don't get anxious anymore. I can still feel it and I can get those tremors and shakes, that resistance. But once we can kind of breathe through that and let go, trust, let go, be open, then the medicine can really work with us.
So true. And as an alternate perspective here, I don't identify as necessarily an anxious person. I still have that surge of energy. I do think the plant increases heart rate, regardless of whether you feel anxious or not. I feel that increase in heart rate and that amplification and awareness. We're all energetic beings here. I just become aware of all of the energies, right? Like, oh, this is always what's flowing. And now, like, whoa, I am aware that I am channeling whatever my mom is going through down the road right now. So I need to go ahead and clean that up and put up some borders right now. I am aware that I had some unfinished business online and there's this email that's chattering in my head and that's causing some activation, right? It's going to just make you aware. We put a label, we put a name, we say anxiety. We assign meaning to a set of sensations in the body. This goes for everything. So call it activation, call it awareness of energy, right? Call it open crown chakra and lots of information, and open third eye, and lots of information is coming through right now, and work with it as such instead of this is anxiety, this is bad, I've decided to label this, I'm uncomfortable, fuck this, I'm out, right? Except I can't be out because it's still in my system, right? Partnering with, that's what we're doing in the ministry, calling these parts closer. Oh, I'm experiencing the thing I experience. Let's show up in the face of it a little different. Let's come closer to myself. Let's hold myself a little bit more in this. So opportunity here when you feel that anxiety.
Yeah, and it's that idea of like not running away from it, right? Turning towards it. And Daniel, who wrote the book and facilitates these trainings, says that, awareness, as long as we're aware, and then awareness with acceptance is the healing. So being aware of it and then just accepting, this is where I am, this is what I'm feeling. So awareness with acceptance is the healing.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And to bring mushrooms into it, if I'm guiding someone in a mushroom journey and they say, "Oh my gosh, this scary thing is happening, this upsetting thing is happening," the last thing I want to do, well, the first thing I'm going to try is not, "Let me help you get away from it." Right? And I'm just sort of enabling the pattern of like uncomfortable thing, let's move away. Large mushroom journey, uncomfortable thing, can I hold your hand and can we go towards it together? Right? Can I support you in feeling safe to take a breath and to look at what is here? You go into the trauma. If you've done transforming trauma, if you're considering that program, we'll be running it again in the fall. We heal the drama too, that happens from the trauma, the unresolved trauma. We heal that by pendulating, swinging into it just a little bit. Oh, I'm here in the trauma space. How do I hold myself here in it? How do I show up differently in it? How do I repattern differently? And then swing back out again safely. We titrate. We go in and out of those states and tolerate what we can tolerate when we're in there. And then when it's too much for the nervous system, when we've gone out of our capacity, you can come back out again. And that's the beauty about Amy's saying with cannabis, too much happening in this journey, pull the eye shades off. Same with mushrooms, really, too. Come out of the internal, come back to the external, look around. Oh, I'm in a room. I'm in the room I started in. I'm not in my grandmother's house 20 years ago, which is where the medicine may have taken you. Rhonda says, I've never considered cannabis as medicine or sacred. Yeah, I can see how intention setting would make a big difference. Really, really thanking you for sharing that. I really think that's the case for most of us. I mean, I grew up as a kid in the 90s when it was like, after school, whose house are we going to take bong hits, right? Like, this is like part of the fun, of just having fun or lightening up or whatever. And yeah, Rhonda, I will say when my husband said this is a problem for me, and it was for him, right? His recreational use was out of control. He couldn't not be stoned. He needed to smoke to do anything in life, right? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about saying, I'm taking a step out of life to choose to work with and commune with this medicine with intention. Completely game changing, deeply healing experiences. Annette says, I admit I am afraid to have a trauma experience with the journey. Could you comment on that, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible to bring things up, but again, cannabis with intention is gentle, and you have autonomy. So even in this kind of container. So can I speak a little bit to like how things will flow,
Yep.
Rye?
Yep.
So if you choose to come to the Conscious Cannabis Circle, it'll be a requirement that you keep your camera on, where I can see you, so I can see if there's anything happening, or if you need help, and you can raise your hand and go into a breakout room where I can support you, or where I can support you. So you're safe. So just like anything else, just know that you're being held in this container, and that you have autonomy, to come out of it, to say, I need to just take a break. I need to keep my eye shade off. Can you just talk me through this? That is always an option, to stay safe. But the medicine is, I don't want to speak in too generalist of terms, but just like any of these sacred medicines, like it's not going to bring you something that you're not ready for. If it's coming to you, then it's coming for you.
Boom. Boom. Bottom line, same with mushroom journey. And that's the number one most common concern when anyone is going into a journey. Bufo too, Bryn, I'm sure. Like, I just don't want to be afraid, right? I don't want to be in the unknown. I don't want to be lost. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be a little girl lost in the fucking grocery store, not knowing where my mom is, right? That is terrifying. And what Amy, the word she keeps using is safe. And what we do in trauma work, what we do in the ministry, what I would do in a mushroom journey, if you were with me, or an MDMA journey, was to remind you that you are okay, you are safe. Feel your back on the ground. I really suggest lying on the ground on a yoga mat for journey work. There's that firm surface below you. Most people will have you sit down to do a lot of medicines. I would never be standing to take a tobacco dose, right? Like, this is not a safe foundation to work with medicine. And I know beds are comfortable and couches are comfortable. I find them too squishy and pillowy for that location of your body. When you are flat, if you're having a panic attack, medicine or not, get on the ground. But the ground, the earth, the solid foundation is going to remind you where your body is. This is why in a journey you'll hear me say, feel your body on the ground, right? Feel the ground rise up to meet you and gravity pushing you down. Okay, we need that pressure to be reminded of our borders, our boundaries. And then the process, Amy will take you through the embodiment work that we do in the ministry, even self-locating, which some of you have been doing inside the challenge, finding your actual borders, right? That's part of knowing, oh, I'm scared right now. There's a difference between I'm scared and I'm here with myself. I'm present with it. And I'm scared right now, and I don't know where the fuck I am or what's happening, right? That's what we're afraid of, that lost, floating in space, right? Feeling. You can be scared. You can pattern for this. Oh, I'm scared, and I got me. I'm right here with it. Wow, my heart's really racing, and I got me. Okay, two different experiences of being scared. When you are held in a container with a guide and they're set and setting, I very rarely see this version of scared. Do you, Amy? When the set and the setting and the container and the guide are there, scared happens and it looks a whole lot different.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of just getting comfortable with discomfort, and just allowing it to move instead of like, that tension part, just allowing it to just be there, awareness with acceptance is the healing. I want to say real quick before I forget and we move on to mushrooms is, if you are a regular user and you're considering doing the Conscious Cannabis Circle, it's ideal if you abstain for a few days beforehand, just to give your body a little bit of a break. A week would be great if possible. If that's not comfortable, like a few days, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. Even I'm preparing for some DMT experiences and abstaining from cannabis in preparation for that, to just clear the channel, right? To just be able to receive a medicine without that amplification and without those energies and without that huge. For me, cannabis is all open upper chakras, Amy. Do you feel that too with the medicine?
Yeah, I mean, because it's more heady, but it's also very somatic, so it's definitely a somatic medicine. Like, so we're in our head a lot, but it's also like when you can, it's an embodied experience.
So it does, that's just my, the experience of it. But when someone's really spinning out on cannabis and they're way up in the like upper realms, the call is to come back down to the lower chakras, to find that root, to find that foundation, to find the earth, to do what needs to be done to get more grounded and root yourself in the experience.
Yeah, and that is like why we do the different strains, you know. So we have that benefit of the indica that's like helping us to relax into the body. So like I said, if you know you tend to kind of be more up here or you have anxiety, you know, you could even start with just like a hybrid. Just start there. Just start with a hybrid. And something that you know you feel good about, that smells good to you. That's always an option. It's just to get that real entourage effect and get all of the terpenes and all of those benefits. Like it's nice to have a few different strains.
Great. So clear. Just real quick, if you want to journey with mushrooms, I do think it's possible to self-guide yourself, and it's why I've made the DIY mushroom journey. Rhonda's nodding. I just want to acknowledge you've taken yourself on a bunch of journeys recently. You're doing incredible healing work. We welcome you to share anything that you may want to share along those lines, but it's possible. You don't have to come up with $2,000 and find yourself a guide and travel to Costa Rica, and like all those things are amazing. And I think the accessibility of cannabis and mushrooms, the beauty here is that with the right knowledge and support, I do have a mushroom journey course, and there's 5 recordings in there. Just press play. Let me guide you through. Let's do some breath. Let me support you. Press play on this playlist. You can create that set in that setting with mushrooms. You can journey on your own 4, 5, 6 hours, an afternoon, a day off. And you can have some really rich and deep insights. And then after you work with Amy and she shows you how to create the cannabis container, she told me after she left here, okay, so do that again. I'll send you a playlist. Like, you don't need me here. Do it again sometime in the next week. And I did. And it was like a part 2 of the journey, or it brought me back into the journey, right? A couple days later, it was like, oh yeah, I remember this. There was undulating in my spine, and the medicine kept calling me back to my body. It was like I went right back to the medicine of the medicine, and it reinforced it. So you have the power. You are the healer. You are the medicine. Just make sure you're resourced. Opening the floor for comments, shares, or questions here.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah, your the DIY for the psilocybin was wonderful. I just started very slow. I took a very low dose. It wasn't a big macro journey. I've done 3 of them, and the first 2, it felt very supported. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I
Oh,
was scared.
yeah. Well, tell us about that. You were scared, right? Annette is admitting, I don't want
Yeah.
to be scared. How did you work with that and through that?
Um, I I actually gave myself time. I did like a year of microdosing before. I mean, I was scared to start that. So, I mean, but I just started slowly and gently, and I allowed my body, spirit to get adjusted. And I just did it slowly. So I waited until, yes, I was scared. I talked with Ryan. She goes, I think you're ready to, I'm ready. Okay. So I got some encouragement. That meant a lot. Somebody had confidence in me. And then for me, I just put it out there with the microdosing. Is it time? And I started getting little sparks of magic, of letting me know it was time. And so for me, yes, I was scared, but there was excitement as well. So, and having that support and somebody else confident that, yeah, you can do this, it made just a world of difference.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm so proud of you building that confidence with the sacrament, and then ask the sacrament, am I meant to do the cannabis journey? Right? Literally, whatever you're bumping up against. What is my dosage? Show me the right dosage. Take me into the right setting. Is it time for me to do this? Right? Whatever it is, Rhonda's been such a faithful co-creator and co-collaborator with the sacred mushroom. She has a relationship now, so that those signs, that magic, those confirmations, they're just coming in strong, and she's learning to trust more and more her intuition and when to be in discernment and know, like, okay, that's a sign perhaps, right? And let me just sit on that for a few days too. Beautiful. So proud of you, sister. Great work. Any other comments, shares, or questions around doing journey work? You can pop it in the chat or come off of mute. Yes, Bryn, would love to hear from you.
Hi. I would love to give the different perspective that, again, going back to sacred medicine, tobacco was our number one sacred medicine of this earth. Then we go to cannabis, and then we continue to move on all the things that were discovered. So when you're taking your intention, like you're saying, even in the slightest with that, that is why all of it happens. Think of it like this: no matter what journey of what extreme medicine you think you are taking, you are in a safe container. If you think from an observer point of view, God, creator, universe says, I just need you to come meet me today. Where would you like to meet? And you in your safe container are saying, I'm going to go meet him in my living room, out in the forest. Where do you want to go meet whomever is there during your journey to give you the answers that you think you've been waiting for? He's just going to meet you there. You're literally going to be sitting, laying, standing, relaxing. There's only thoughts, memories, and images. That's how he's creating a relationship to speak to you. So as something of your past comes back, how it's coming through you physically is because it's lighting you up. You perceive it as, oh, it hurts. Oh, I didn't feel that. No, you haven't felt your body in years. You have it tuned in. And the creator is saying through this medicine and this intention that you have created, saying, thank you. I'm going to answer those. And how I'm answering them is I'm only giving you thoughts and memories and things that will light you up, tingles and jerks and snaps and cracks and pops, because you can't be as tight as you are. So those memories are releasing, because that's what we say. When something comes to you, no matter if you consider it trauma, past, PTSD, whatever label, if something comes to you during a journey, that's when you're like, yes, yes, yes. It would have never came to you unless it was your opportunity to say yes, because now that's when they call it release and surrender. So whatever comes to you, it is because, holy tamale, you're right, I hadn't thought of that in years, because it's now the last time, because it's up and gone. And your safe container, when you're done, is still on that bed or in the woods or laying down. You've just had so many quick moments with the creator, inspiring your thoughts, and they're only of the things you've been requesting and asking. Let go of. And they go, okay, but to let go of it, we're going to see it one more time for you to agree, and it's gone. And afterwards, your body feels lighter because you've allowed the energy to finally move, chakra top to bottom. And that's what you're looking for, is that discomfort. You want to feel electric, because when you're done, you're never going to feel like you did when you started that container, because that container was just everything. That was the stress, trauma, drama, and tension. And when he comes to you and speaks and says, you are everything, thank you for remembering you, you're like, I absolutely want to do this again. And then that's what becomes that coming back moment. You got to keep coming back, because there's going to be more and more, because you are always in control of the ride.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you for letting me share.
Oh my gosh, you're such a channel. You're a channel for this. I can tell your community is so lucky to have you guide them. And what a cool way of looking at it, right? Where do you want to go meet God today?
And just like when they always say, well, what should I wear? What should I wear? Do I have to do this? I'm like, what do you want him to create? He's there every day, but you haven't tuned in yet. So you tell him where you want to go, what container, what you want to wear. How do you want to meet him? Because he's already there and he's already met you every day of your life. It's just you had to create a moment to say, with this sacrament, let's go.
Let's go. Great.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the birthing process, right? Like, I mean, I haven't personally given birth, but like many of you may have. And so that wasn't, most of the time, like, you're going into it, you're choosing to go into it. It's messy, it's bloody, it can be dangerous. But then you go through that transformation, and then there's just this beautiful release and joy. And look what I've created. Look what came from that struggle.
Yeah, right there. Both of you touching on the importance of actually getting uncomfortable too. Yeah, the only way out is through. The discomfort is the medicine. It is the release. It is the discharge. It is everything that, and from a physiological standpoint, that's what the nervous system needs to do. This is why we shake after a trauma, right? Like the nervous system is very wise and it knows exactly. We've been conditioned to, that looks weird, that's bizarre, why am I sweating, let's cover it all up and make us look normal, right? These journeys are opportunities to let it be weird, let it be messy, let it be sweaty, let it be smelly, let it be jerky, let yourself cry and flop all over the place. Amy has no judgment for you when you're in that space. I don't either. In fact, that's when it's fun. That's when it's like, yes, it's happening. The healing is happening here. So yeah, and that really resonated with your explanation. So thank you, Bryn, for bringing your magic. Bryn is actually developing her own community. She's down in Texas. She serves Bufo, which is a DMT from a toad. I'm going to be sitting with Bufo for the first time in June, not with Bryn. She's too far. I found someone a little closer, but she's going to offer me some support. It's amazing the people you can meet on social media when you set the intention to connect with others. Amy, anything else that feels important for preparing this group for the June 13th journey?
I think we've hit on, all of the big things, the intention, the setting, the resourcing, and just like any journey, I mean, I like to really, for days in advance, like, sit with the medicine, sit with the flower, speak to it, develop that relationship with it. If you don't have one already, smell it, really get that energy of the medicine, and I offer gratitude to what she's, going to be bringing to you.
I love that. Do you suggest they come to the journey with a clear intention, or is the journey prep an opportunity to get clear on an intention?
Yeah, I would say go ahead and have your intention and we can help fine tune that, but I don't want to spend a ton of time on that because the journey itself is going to take some time. Yeah, I would definitely be going ahead and working through your intention. And if you need support, let us know.
Okay, beautiful. That experience on June 13th is 3 hours. 2.5 is about probably the length of the whole experience. We're going to keep the room open for 3 hours if you want to fade off and turn your computer off when it's officially done, but we'll keep the space open for you to stay. I mean, I could stay with the music and the energy for an extra hour, with flower in my system there. But yeah, are we working with cannabis for the journey, or are we working with mushrooms with cannabis? So that's going to be up to you, Rhonda. It's a great question. When Amy came to guide me, I actually chose not to microdose because I wanted to just experience just cannabis, right? It's like, I'm queen of mixing medicines. It's great. Give me some rose, give me some tobacco, give me all these things, right? And there's beauty in that. And there's real beauty in a pure experience too. Like, I'm just communing with cannabis right now. I will say cannabis and mushrooms are such good friends that if this is a deep support for you and the cannabis maybe is the little nervous piece, maybe, and this so well, I might, for you, Rhonda, specifically consider having both of them. But pray about it. Ask the mushroom, ask the medicine. You can have it there with you and take it if you need it. But I'm going to leave that up to you all. Or maybe you take a gram of mushrooms and then bring in the cannabis and work with them in larger doses combined. Or maybe a gram of mushrooms and a microdose of cannabis, right? Like, you decide. Amy, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was also going to say, like, CBD, if you have a good quality CBD tincture on hand, it is an antidote. So, if you are in a space with the cannabis that feels like too much, you took too much, it's overwhelming, have CBD on hand, which can kind of help level you out.
Yeah, so the CBD actually it works in tandem with the THC, and it will pull down some of that high. So a strong CBD can be a support if you're feeling a little too ungrounded with the cannabis. Any other questions, comments, or shares here in the last 5 minutes or so of our prep circle? While you think about it, come off mute or type in the chat. I will share that the June 13th journey is a $77 investment. There will be 3 partial scholarships offered. You're going to see more partial scholarships coming through in the ministry. Simple application to apply for a partial scholarship. If that feels like too much for you, Amy and I are happy to extend you a spot at a reduced rate. You would have to apply for that. So just keep your eyes open. I'll post that in the next week or so. It's a 2.5 to 3 hour experience. And there's also a follow-up integration circle a week later, something like this, but only for those who were there. Friday, June 20th, we'll have an integration circle at 11 a.m. If you can make it, you'll get access to the replay. If not, and we'll bring back up the journey, what came through, right? This is a really important and not emphasized enough enough part of all journey work and all medicine work. You really want to stay in that integration place, remembering, journaling, sitting in meditation and breath work to call back up, like, what did the medicine show me? Oh, yeah, let me sit with that again here, sober, without medicine, or maybe with just the support of a microdose or some rose or passion flower, some flowers here. But yeah, that's the whole cost and package of that experience. Anything else? Chieko, yes.
It's a little off topic, but kratom, it was recommended to me to sort of calm down the attention I was paying to some physical pain. And so I have a really high tolerance. Even before I just started smoking cannabis a couple years ago, and then now I haven't really been smoking it at all. But anyway, I just wondered about kratom, and when you said about the CBD, I said, "Oh, I wonder if kratom has a similar impact." I haven't really done any research since I've realized the sacredness of these medicines, and so I thought I would just ask if you have any input.
I love it. And I love that you felt safe to bring that and trust it. I don't know much. I will open this to Amy and Bryn or anybody else who might know much about kratom. Unfortunately, my only experiences with kratom are people who needed help coming off of it and were addicted. So yeah, Bryn is saying yes. Amy's saying yes too. Highly addictive from what I understand. Like all plants, it's big, it can be loud, it can be really, really helpful. And when we have those really helpful plants, the dependency can also be there. I believe a physical dependency can develop with kratom. So I've only unfortunately seen it in a negative light. Bryn or Amy, any thoughts on kratom?
Absolutely use in very small amounts, but if you need something, kava, natural. And you can get it off of Amazon in tincture and just drop it in your water. And basically it's a mood stabilizer. It may only last some people 30 minutes to an hour, but it's to some extent, that's when people are grabbing kratom, is because they're just needing a quick, hey, get me out of something. And kava is a beautiful natural root tincture that can just give you a little buzz of just back to your body.
Beautiful. Great recommendation. Amy, any thoughts on kratom?
Yeah, I was just going to add 100%, be very intentional and small doses and spread out. It is highly addictive. It is an opioid. It's a natural plant-based opioid. So it has those same properties. So it is highly addictive. If you're looking for something specifically for pain, cannabis is a beautiful remedy for that. CBD is really known to be helpful for pain as well. So, those might be some options to explore too.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and CBG, looking for those full spectrum CBD oils that include the CBG and the CBN and all these other amazing constituents of the plant that we isolate out just the CBD, but full spectrum. I do carry a full spectrum that I make myself. If you're interested in that, I don't list it in the shop. I just sell it on the side because it triggers all sorts of issues. They don't want CBD out there. Sold online. So food for thought there. And we're always here in the community. Well, you're welcome to make a post in the ministry as well, Chieko. What does everybody use for pain, right? And let's just, there's tons of stuff out there. Let's share notes. But yeah, tune in with the kratom too. Set an intention. But if you choose to keep working with it, set the intention, tune in and ask the microdose too. Is kratom right for me? You can even combine those two and ask, is this, talk to me, show me the way.
Yeah, it's really easy now to talk to the plants. I'm all in.
Yay! Wonderful. So thankful for you all. I appreciate you being here. Wondering, Amy, thank you. This is just the beginning. Amy's going to be working more in the community, perhaps offering some microdosing coaching. She's now distributing this medicine in her own communities in Asheville and offering coaching and support. So look for Amy's support and her name. She's participating in the microdosing challenge right now if y'all are in there, so you can interact with her. Thank you, Amy. Any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, just an honor to be here and to connect, and I'm open to questions. If any of you want to, ask questions in the platform, I'm happy to answer anything. If you need help with intentions, any of that. So any anxieties, any excitement, would love to hear about it.
Beautiful. Let's take one collective breath together here. inhaling. Just holding at the top for a moment, feeling your heart, feeling the circle. And exhaling. Yeah, nice and slow. Thank you, sisters. Thank you, Cannabis. Thank you, Sacred Mushrooms. Thank you to all the medicines that were here in support today. See you all soon. Blessings.